Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm here with another video of Toronto. This time is Lake Ontario. Lake Ontario meaning beautiful water or beautiful lake. Also crystal water, which means when it's sunny it shines, it sparkles. So yeah, enjoy the video. You can see the fog towards the end. So when we're coming back to the shore, you won't be able to see those tall buildings until it's passed through the fog. As you can see, looking on the other side, you can't see the islands because of the fog. So yeah, enjoy the video, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and like my channel. I'll be posting a few more videos of Toronto before I move on to next videos of Spain and Bangladesh. I've still got quite a few more videos left to post from my trips this year so far. So yep, enjoy the video guys, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye for now.
Transport Canada to operate this boat, and the boat itself is fully Coast Guard certified. For your safety, life jackets are located at the back of the boat on the lower level, along with 4 life rings, 2 life rafts, and a VHF radio. The VHF radio is used to stay in contact with other boats, as well as the Toronto Police Marine Unit, which is responsible for all the waterways within the jurisdiction of the City of Toronto. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please remain calm and listen to the boat crew for further instructions. And finally, for anyone wishing to purchase a beverage or snack from the bar, simply use the back staircase as well as the exit hatch located on the right-hand side platform. In terms of items available for purchase, we do have bottles of water, soft drinks, juice, and chips. You can pay by debit, credit, or cash. Just know that American cash is accepted at car. In just a few moments, we will continue our tour upstairs as we slowly maneuver our way out of the docks. In the wintertime, the entire inner harbor freezes over with thick layers of ice. This necessitates the use of special boats called icebreakers to break the ice and create the paths for the ferry and cargo ships. We turn to our right-hand side, you notice many of these white flotation devices that are currently bobbing away in the water. Private use and many helicopters are housed there too in the hangars right beside the airport terminal facility. This airport is a little different in that it only houses one runway, and it's less than 4,000 feet long, which means it cannot accommodate jet planes at all. The only type of planes you see here coming and going use turboprop propeller engines, something of a rarity nowadays for modern aviation standards. Now you suppose you could do an emergency landing for a jumbo jet here, but the reality is that it will land on the runway and then roll in the water. It's not meant for those planes to use. You may also be wondering about the name of the airport, why they named it Billy Bishop, and most importantly, who is Billy Bishop? Well, he was a veteran who participated both in the First and Second World War as a Canadian ace fighter. During his tenure in the Army, he did manage to accrue 72 credited victories. That means he shot down 72 planes throughout the First and Second World War. Maybe if we talk Canadian ace fighters, we think of Top Gun or Maverick as well. That would be in terms of his connection to the airport, he did train out of the airfield back when it was still a military training base. And given his victories, they renamed it in honor of him. I'd like to remind those at the rear that there are plenty more opportunities. 1858 summer convention. We will talk about these percent. Speaking of walls, we'll talk about our first point of interest on our right-hand side. More than enough room for 2 to 3 ferry boats at any given time. This is Hanlan's Point. It's named after the Hanlan's family, one of the first families to establish year-long residence here back in the early 1800s. And they also built the first hotel here, making it the center of life here on the islands. Sadly, there are no hotels left anywhere on all 14 islands. Now, by a show of hands, so I have anyone here who's a baseball fan, or maybe you play baseball yourself. Raise your hand if you like baseball. Okay, we got quite a few in the rear. Well, you'll be happy to know that Hanlan's Point was once the site of a 10,000-seat baseball stadium. And it's also the place in 1914 where Babe Ruth hit his first professional home run. So if you know anything at all about baseball, you would know that Babe Ruth is a very important name. Now, at the time, he was playing for the Providence Rays baseball team. He hit a home run right out the ballpark and it landed somewhere in the lake. Now, to this day, no one has been able to claim where the ball. Private yacht clubs. The first being the Island Yacht Club, which was established in 1951. Among the amenities that club members have access to, they do have, of course, the island beside the boats, a private 18 acres of land called Mugs Island for the members. They also have access to things like tennis courts, swimming pools, and as many as 3 dining halls. You can actually see the tennis court through the trees on our left-hand side. So again, many different types of boats here, most of them motorized for now, with different names. And soon enough, many of the sailboats too. We'll point out that the other perfect fifth and Chicken Soup the 6th. Maybe it's their 6th boat, or maybe it's their 6th helping of chicken soup. We'll never know. Now, with good weather, water, and islands, this too is accompanied by an abundance of wildlife. Among those, 200 different species of birds pass by the island on a yearly basis. 60 of those species nest here every year. The birds tend to pick the islands as the ideal resting place before they continue their migratory journeys, whether that be to the south in the wintertime or the north in the summertime. And you can find many birds like warblers, wrens, black-brown night herons, kingfishers, blue herons, cormorants, egrets, long-tailed ducks, buffleheads, mute swans, Canadian geese, as well as the occasional tundra or whistling swan. Now, by a show of hands, do I have anyone here who likes to fish in their pastime, or maybe you just want to admire the fish from the fish tank in the living room? Okay, no luck there. That's okay. If you wanted to try your luck here on the islands, you certainly can. You will have to purchase a fishing license from the provincial government of Ontario before you do that. And not to worry, they don't force you to buy a yearly license. You can buy a one-day license in case you don't end up catching anything at all. So we do have, of course, the carp, pike, yellow perch, sunfish, rock bass, and catfish. And we can't forget the animals that live amongst the people on the islands. We do have, of course, the squirrels, raccoons, muskrats, beavers, deer, and even reported sightings of coyotes as well. We're now finishing our left-hand turn here. We're going to go through this long stretch of water straight ahead of us. This is called the Long Pond. This is where the Dominion Day Regatta is held every year in the month of July. It's also the place where the Dragon Boat Race Festival takes place, so a series of elongated about 2 minutes or so from now, you will see another waterway that leads back to the inner harbor on the left. That one is different in that it houses the Central Marina. Many of the non-club members park their boats, either belong to the people who live here on the islands or other folks who live in the city as well. They do pay a yearly fee to store their boats there. But aside from that, on many occasions you can find floating houses as well attached to the marina. Come with the family, be sure to bring your bag of charcoal with you. T1 States, you'll have a nice afternoon on the islands. The city takes great pride in the maintenance of the islands. You can see how picturesque it is. And we'll go ahead and describe that bridge I mentioned before. We can't see it just yet, but in the next minute or so you'll be able to take a picture of it. It's called the Avenue of the Islands Bridge. It is the main pedestrian connection between Middle and Center Islands, and it was originally built in 1895 at a price tag of $6,000. Still looks pretty good to this day. So in about 30 seconds or so, you will be able to take a picture of that bridge on our right hand side. So there it is, the Avenue of the Islands Bridge to our right hand side.
In Toronto, that's People City.
Now is a good time to take your phone or camera out, snap a picture of the fog. Now normally I'd say the city skyline, but that's being blocked by the fog right now. So if you want a picture of that, go ahead and take a picture at the front or on the sides there. Please make sure that if you are taking pictures along the handrail, not to lean too far out. They are there after all for your safety. So go ahead and take those pictures now, as when I return upstairs in front, we will continue with the commentary. See you soon. Islands are located. That's where the modern-day residents of the islands live. There are approximately 262 houses with 650 people who call the islands their home today. So a small community, but still substantial in size. Many people have lived on the islands throughout the years, whether that be in the early 1800s, in small summer houses or tents. It wasn't until the early 1930s that the city permitted many of those tent dwellers to construct houses on the islands, so long as they were located both on board and on Algonquin Islands. And so, fast forward another 20 years or so, it's now the early 1950s. The sentiment of the city council changed. In fact, their master plan was to acquire all the properties and tear down all the buildings to make way for more open parkland. As you can imagine, many people were upset with this decision, particularly those who were still living on the islands at that time. It was such a contentious issue that they continued to argue with the city council for the next 40 years to keep their houses and properties. And just like that, if they got what they wanted, then they would lose their livelihood on here, on the islands. And so, without any resolution in sight, by 1993, they formed a trust under the name of the Toronto Island Residential Community Trust. They then prepared themselves a 99-year lease, securing their future on the islands until 2092. So until then, the city can't touch their properties or houses until 2092. So you can see the city skyline finally coming into view. Go ahead and film or take a picture of that if you'd like. Finally, should have done it earlier, but on the islands, statistically speaking, it could take anywhere between 167 to 250 years before everyone on that wait list is able to buy a house. So if I were you, just buy a house in the city. Sure, you're spending $1 million on a house in the city, but at least you'll get that today instead of never on the islands. So let's take a good look at the city skyline. See how many buildings there are and many more being built right now. If we are to close our eyes and try to imagine what this used to look like 100 years ago, we'd be looking at a completely different harborfront. In fact, this used to be filled to the brim with factories, industries, and chimney stacks. It wasn't until the early 1970s that investments made by all three levels of